All right, welcome back, everyone. I have Joel Farrell from Strive for 25 back on and for our weekly chat. And I think, we keep talking about mindset and things about how to get to that next level and getting out of the rat race. And I saw something on X or Twitter, and it got me thinking. It's kind of about being disciplined. Is discipline something that you're just born with, or is it something that can be taught or learned through the years? So, welcome back, Joel.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, did you see that post that I can't
I,
even find it right now.
yeah. I mean, we were talking about that earlier, and I've seen a couple of them pop through. And I've mentioned, I don't remember which channels or on my own or whatever, that I hate the word discipline. I hate it.
Man, you hate a lot of like dink, discipline. Maybe this. What's going on with that, man?
Well, before I um explain more about what I mean, what were you seeing on the tweet or the X message?
No, I think the kind of common theme is that, yeah, I think it's something you're somewhat born with in a sense. Definitely, some people have more discipline than others, but I think the common thing is that it's something that you can kind of learn or that you can improve on yourself. And I think a lot of it just comes down to finding that passion or something that you enjoy. It's a lot easier to be disciplined about something when it's something that brings enjoyment to you or that you have interest in.
Yeah, I found the tweet. So Gabriel Clark says, I used to believe that discipline was innate. You were lucky enough to have it, or you were destined to wallow in mediocrity. I believed it was an innate characteristic and blah, 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 blah. And somebody else, well, the wealth coach, kind of echoing and retweeting the same thing. And so either somebody has it or they don't. I think that's the thing that I kind of look at this whole topic on. Either you have it or you don't. And they're saying, hey, it can be learned. And I do agree with somebody in that it can be learned. And the reason why I use the words I hate that word discipline is because, you know, social media, obviously it's a very short window of someone's attention, but then the message is truncated. So you may see a 30-second video about discipline is freedom. Discipline equals, winning. Discipline equals whatever you may want to kind of attach it to. And those things I agree with. But if you're talking to somebody that's struggling, right, that needs help with something, and someone's saying, yeah, discipline is the path to whatever, to, being successful or whatever, like, well, shit, I've been struggling for a while, having trouble overcoming this hurdle. So clearly I don't have discipline. So maybe it's not possible for me to get there because I don't have discipline. And I maybe I'm missing something, but almost every single thing I've seen about discipline on social media is without the piece of the puzzle that says, yes, discipline is, like Goggins, right? Goggins is out there doing crazy things, but he started from the bottom, right? And he built it day over day over day over day, little bitty pieces at a time. And that's the message that I've heard. That's the part of the journey that I've gone through. Like this podcast, I started with, in September of 2022, and posting on Instagram one day every single day, and didn't know what the heck I was doing. And at the moment in time, I was reading Atomic Habits and James Clear and the 2 minute rule. And so, like, I've said this many times on my channel and others, that like I built the channel literally at 9 o'clock at night, like after the kids get down, a full day of work, get the kids from school, dinner, playtime, bath. My wife's working; she's a counselor, so she gets done at 6 o'clock. And so by 9 o'clock, in the kids' room, laying on the ground, trying to get them to go to sleep. And then it's like, okay, I got to turn this back on to get work done. And all that pressure, that anxiety of shit, I got to turn it back on. And oh my God, whatever. So the 2 minute rule for me personally was what helped me just take the pressure off. Okay, I'm going to do 2 minutes. And if that's it, that's okay. And if I'm feeling it and keep going, cool. And so the, the idea of discipline, you mentioned something you're passionate about, right? But that may not always be the case. And the better you get at something, the more passionate you may get about it as well. And so if if it's something that you need to be doing, and know that you want to do to be able to get to one step closer to reaching a certain goal, uh, can build that discipline a little bit at a time, and just understanding how the process works, that it's not going to happen overnight, and the time frame and all the stuff that goes into it, is something that, I definitely agree with what they're saying. It's just that not enough people are talking about it. So I like that post, and I think it's something that's important.
I just think that too many people think that you're just born with being disciplined because you see, like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, the successful people that have all this discipline, they're focused, they're driven, but we don't see the other side of things that maybe they've failed at or don't have discipline for. So you see that focus that they're striving for something in something that they're passionate about, and like I keep going back to it, it's usually, I think it's a lot easier to be disciplined when it's something that you enjoy. And I think I kind of even just noticed, we talked about a little bit off camera, my son is sick right now, and I think you know being a parent, it teaches you a lot about discipline and being focused and trying to accomplish something, because a lot of times it's not fun, right? There's a lot of times, being a parent, you're not, everything is not fun and games and enjoyable. There's a lot of times you got to make sacrifices and do things that you just need to get done. And I think that's the true side of seeing, if you have discipline, if it's something that you can learn or be taught. And I think, but too many people use that excuse though, that it's just something you're born with, and they don't strive for it, or they don't continue for it, or don't try to accomplish it just because they think that, oh yeah, I'm not born with it, that's not me, and I don't have discipline in my life. And I think a lot of times we're kind of blinded by the fact that, I think everyone has it to some extent. And, sometimes it's just pushing through certain obstacles to really, really learn more about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of take a little bit of example. So you mentioned your son being sick and sacrificing, doing certain things. Like I know me for me personally, it's like there's a million things to be doing for business, for family, for this, for that. Like the the thought crosses your mind. It's 9 o'clock or it's 10 o'clock. It's like, oh shoot, I know that I need to do X, Y, Z, and maybe it's to prep for the morning and have X, Y, Z done for the morning. And the thought goes through, okay, I'll just do it in the morning. I'll wake up early in the morning and do it. And then maybe you do, maybe you wake up early, maybe you don't, right? And so if you think about it and you don't do it and you think, okay, I'll do it in the morning, and then you don't do it in the morning, or you wait till the last second to do it in the morning, like that's one of these little micro decisions that feed into this quote unquote word discipline. Because if you do prep and do it the night before, now that's a win. It's considered, could be considered a win, right? And then, okay, I did that. And then if you do it again and then do it again, then those acts of little bitty preparation then feed into the next thing and the next thing. And that you're basically programming your subconscious to be able to be proactive in planning and all that stuff versus letting the I'll do it tomorrow button take over. And then that becomes a slippery slope into other things too. So those, I don't know, that's just something that, or I mean, I deal with personally. I mean, we all do all the things you have to do to be prepared for the next day, et cetera. But anyway.
No, I think that's a great point, where I think there's a lot of things that people do every day that does show that they are disciplined. It's just, it's not on that same level of the, like you say, David Goggins, or that rah rah rah, and it's you're screaming at the top of your lungs that you've done this, or you're running in the snow or whatever at 3 in the morning, or whatnot, right? And for a lot of people, they don't see that every day they're doing something that's disciplined. They're waking up, right? Like you're saying, they're doing these little things, but it's just not on that same level that you see on social media. So a lot of people don't realize that they are disciplined, and they're doing the things that they need to do. It's just, it's not at that same level on social media, and someone is screaming about it or yelling about it and telling you, you got to get up and get moving, and get kicked in the ass and all these things, right? So I think that's the thing people have to realize, is there's different ways to realize that you are disciplined, and don't get kind of frustrated with the fact that it is not, maybe, like you said, social media sometimes is great, but at the same time sometimes it kind of makes you have this unrealistic view of things.
Mm. Yeah, and one of the things that I look at on myself, right? Like, because discipline is not just a a binary thing. It's not an and or. Um, and like Hormozy mentions this in terms of like selling, like, having confidence in what you're selling, having confidence that your product is good, or being able to deliver on your product. It's not a binary thing. It's a how much on the scale of 1 to 100, whatever the scale you want to do. How much do you believe in it? Because if you believe in what you're doing, you believe in your skills, your product, or whatever it is, and you're 100 on a scale of 1 to 100, like that's going to rub off onto your prospective customers. And the same thing with what we're talking about with discipline, right? Like if you know where you're trying to go, if you have a defined goal of where you're trying to go, then on that scale of discipline, you can build up and build up and get stronger and stronger and stronger as you go on. If you are at it, kind of going back to the comfort zone and being stuck in a W-2 job, if you don't love your job and you don't really know what you want to do, and you're kind of just stuck in this gray area and just in limbo and wake up every morning and just not excited, right? Like it's hard to be disciplined because you don't know where you're going or where you want to go. And so that clarity is something that's important as well.
Yeah, super important. I think you touched on it, like you're saying, you may not like your W-2 and, you may not be happy or your job may not be enjoyable, but if you have this vision of, I'm using this W-2 as a stepping stone to get where I need to get, then it definitely helps you wake up in the morning, get to your job, do what you need to do because you're using this as a stepping stone to accomplish kind of what the end goal is. And I think that's sometimes what people forget is like you're saying, right? It's easy to get caught up in hating your job and not liking to wake up to have to get there. But if you realize that this is just some short-term, pain that you have to go through possibly to get to where you need to go, and you're using this as a stepping stone, then that's super helpful from like you're saying, being disciplined about just waking up, going to work, and knowing that there's something on the end at the other side of this, and that's what you're doing it for.
Yeah. So I'm piggybacking off of that, right? Like everyone has their own thing or things that trigger them in a positive or a negative way, right? Like what motivates you, what resonates with you. Like for me personally, like like I mentioned, James Clear's Atomic Habits. In that moment, like that book just hit me. I was just right time that it hit me, right? And every person's gonna have their own kind of thing or types of things that are gonna connect with them emotionally and charging them either positive or negative. And like just this morning, like I'm, kind of going through some stuff with some real estate things, just like I know we all do, right? And I'm juggling so many things right now with the family and then, the mortgage shop and this podcast and then real estate and just turmoil. And like you got to find the things that are going to help you to get you to where you want to go. And like people out there talking, putting out there about their cold plunges or their heat saunas or their running or their workouts or whatever it is that helps you be in the right mindset to be able to tackle these challenges. I mean, it's important to just know yourself. And like one of the things that I personally do, I've got a rotation of things. Like one of them is the book Winning by Tim Grover, which he's talking about, kind of feeding off of like the working with Kobe and Michael Jordan and that kind of just bottom line winning, doing what it takes. And then like another thing that I listened to, like literally listening to this morning, is Jocko Willink's part of his podcast talking about the good. Have you seen that before? Good.
No.
When things are going bad, good.
Oh
When
yeah,
when
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have XYZ, good, because it's an opportunity, right? Like yeah, it's not good, not where you want to be, but it's an opportunity to be able to then take that and then turn it into something good. And it's like finding the things that are going to get you to where you want to go, and everybody's different. So like it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to like not have all the answers. It's okay to you know struggle and doubt yourself. We're all there. We all get there, but then what happens next? Like that's the ultimate definition of what ends up happening with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you kind of mentioned that, but I kind of want to end on this then because I was talking about my son being sick, and I probably shouldn't have let him drink liquids or anything in the ride home from where we went, and I did, and you know, he vomited and threw up in my truck, and it's like, like you're saying, something bad can happen, but good, right? Like it's kind of like he's kind of all in shock and he's embarrassed and he does, he feels bad, and I'm like, trying to tell them, hey, this happens, my fault, I let you, probably shouldn't let you drink anything, eat anything while we're driving. And, it's just a learn, you got to learn from it. And I kind of make it like, hey, what can we do different next time, or what, tell me to pull over, or, or something. Right. But it was just kind of like you're saying, right. Things are always going to happen, and you kind of just got to look at it and learn from it. And, I mean, it was funny. We try to laugh about it just to make it a little bit easier on us or on him. But it's like, hey, we just got to clean it up, whatever it is, what it is, and move on. And that's kind of, yeah. So, well, this was fun, man. I like it. I like it. So I like it. Discipline. I think everyone can find it, and everyone has it to some extent. And definitely, find your tribe and find something you're passionate about. It's a lot easier. But just waking up every morning, I think that's the starting point of being disciplined, and just doing what you got to do. But just like this, we try to do this weekly. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
us being disciplined doing that, and
Ooh.
us being busy, and we still try to squeeze it in whenever we can. And I appreciate you, even though I give you a hard time, I do appreciate you doing this every week. And yeah, we'll keep doing it, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
See ya.
Okay, bye.